Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for the invitation to join you today. As we think about learning, technology, and the future of autonomy, a line from the sociologist William Bruce Cameron comes to mind. Not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Let me begin with a simple observation. 20 years ago, if you asked a GPS to bring you here to Effat University, it would simply calculate a route from point A to point B. It followed a map that was frozen in time. It was a tool of obedience, not of understanding. It knew the road to the campus, but it didn't know the journey you were on. Now imagine an autonomous agent operating within a Saudi industrial zone, detecting a disruption in the supply chain, coordinating across logistics systems, and rerouting resources before a human operator even sees the delay. At that point, the system is no longer just supporting decisions, it's shaping outcomes. We call this agentic AI, systems that not only react, but act on goals, plan, and adapt in dynamic environments. The shift from tools that respond to systems that act is what defines this new era of autonomy. For most of the digital age, computers have been tools. We asked questions and they returned answers. We issued commands and they executed tasks. Today, a new class of systems is emerging, systems that can plan, reason, and pursue goals across digital environments, systems that can coordinate actions and adapt as conditions change. Once AI begins to operate in this way, something fundamental changes. Decision-making is no longer confined to humans alone. It becomes embedded within the systems themselves. And that raises a critical question. What happens when decision-making itself becomes partially autonomous? Across the World Economic Forum's Centers for Frontier Technology and Innovation, we spend a great deal of time thinking about exactly this challenge. How do societies adopt powerful technologies in ways that aren't only innovative, but responsible, trustworthy, and aligned with the public interest? The scale of what we are discussing is significant. By 2030, artificial intelligence is projected to contribute over 15 trillion US dollars to the global economy as reported by PwC. This transformation, ladies and gentlemen, is not only economic, it is structural. It's reshaping how decisions are made, how systems operate, and how institutions function. If AI in the last decade was about analysis, then agentic AI is about action. Agentic AI systems can break complex goals into tasks, coordinate with other software systems, make decisions across multiple steps, and adapt as conditions change. They interpret data, they produce insights, they generate content, and increasingly, they orchestrate actions. As AI moves from supporting decisions to participating in decision systems, we're no longer simply designing tools. We're designing systems that shape outcomes for people, institutions, and societies. That shift, ladies and gentlemen, has profound implications. Consider education. Agentic AI can support personalized learning, assist educators, and expand access to knowledge. But more importantly, it changes what we value in human capability. Education must increasingly focus not only on knowledge, but on judgment, creativity, and systems thinking, the capabilities that can't be automated, but that are essential to guiding automation. In research, AI is accelerating science, reviewing vast literatures, generating hypotheses, simulating outcomes, and analyzing experimental results. In areas like drug development, AI-driven approaches are already shortening early-stage discovery timelines by as much as 50%, making it possible to move from idea to therapy far more quickly than before. And in complex systems, from infrastructure to logistics, these technologies enable coordination at a scale that would be difficult for humans alone. This creates major opportunities for innovation and for entrepreneurs to build entirely new categories of services around intelligent systems. But as capabilities expand, so do responsibilities. However, there are several challenges that accompany this new frontier. First, security and misuse. Systems that can act autonomously can also be misused, whether through malicious intent, unintended consequences, or poorly aligned objectives. This makes security not just a technical concern, but a systemic one. Second, data privacy. Agentic systems often rely on large volumes of data, including personal or sensitive information. Ensuring that this data is used responsibly with clear protections and boundaries is essential to maintaining public trust. Third, accountability and guardrails. If autonomous systems are making or influencing decisions, there must be clear mechanisms for oversight. This is where the idea of human in the loop, or increasingly human on the loop, becomes critical. Humans may not execute every decision, but they must remain responsible for outcomes. Trust in these systems depends on our ability to understand, audit, and intervene when necessary. Finally, public consent and legitimacy. Adoption doesn't happen in a vacuum. For systems to scale, they must be accepted by the societies in which they operate. That require transparency, clear communication, and a sense that these technologies are aligned with public values. So without legitimacy, even the most advanced technologies will struggle to gain traction. This brings us to another important dimension of this transformation, the workforce. Generative and agentic AI could automate up to 30% of current work activities globally by 2030. But automation is only part of the story. The deeper shift is how humans and intelligent systems work together. Agentic AI will not eliminate human expertise. It will change how that expertise is applied. The challenge is not preparing people to compete with intelligent systems, but preparing them to orchestrate, guide, and oversee them. Today, AI is being deployed faster than governance frameworks are being established. Only a minority of organizations currently have mature governance frameworks for autonomous AI systems. This gap between innovation and governance is one of the defining challenges of our time. This is where the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Saudi Arabia, and the broader World Economic Forum network play a critical role. Through collaboration amongst governments, industry, academia, and entrepreneurs, the C4IR network works to translate emerging technologies into practical governance frameworks, not only in ways that enable innovation, but in ways that build trust, accountability, and resilience into systems from the beginning. Governance should not be something we add after the fact. It should be designed into the system itself. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is uniquely positioned to lead in this space. Under Vision 2030, the kingdom has placed innovation, data, and artificial intelligence at the center of its economic transformation. What is particularly important is the emphasis on responsible adoption. Saudi Arabia is not only investing in technology, it's building the institutional capacity to govern that technology effectively. Through collaboration across regulators, academia, and industry, the kingdom is creating environments where innovation and governance evolve together. This creates opportunities not only for large institutions, but also for entrepreneurs, researchers, and innovators to develop solutions within a framework that supports both growth and trust. And for the students and scholars here at Effat University, this is an invitation to help shape how agentic AI is designed, deployed, and governed. In closing, the true power of this era is not that machines can finally think like us, but that they finally allow us the freedom to be like us, to be the architects of the destination rather than the servants of the route. Agentic AI represents a new phase in the relationship between humans and machines. But the future will not be defined by what these systems can do alone. It will be defined by how we choose to design, govern, and deploy them. So, the most important question, ladies and gentlemen, is not what can artificial intelligence do? It's whether we can ensure that it operates in ways that are aligned with human values, societal priorities, and public trust. Because in the end, these systems reflect the choices we make. And as we navigate this future, where so much can now be measured, predicted, and optimized, we would do well to remember Cameron's reminder: not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. The responsibility for those choices remains and must always remain human. Thank you.